I'm a maintenance technician. My job is simple. Fix what's broken, report what can't be fixed, and don't ask too many questions. The building was in Brooklyn, Greenpoint, quiet street, 5-story walk-up built in the 60s. A new developer bought it in August, full renovation planned. All residents had cleared out by September. I was hired to inspect the electrical and plumbing systems and document what needed work before the construction crew came in. Routine job. Empty building. Just me and a checklist. That's what I thought. The first day, I didn't go into Unit 2B. No particular reason. I started on the first floor and worked upward and ran out of time before I got to it. I wrote in my notes, 2B, check tomorrow. Locked up, went home, didn't think about it again. But the next day, standing in front of the door to Unit 2B, I stopped. There was a sound coming from inside. Not pipes. Not wind. It was static, like an old television that couldn't find a signal, that flat, even his people used to call snow. But duller. More distant. As though it was coming from somewhere deep inside the walls. I unlocked the door with the master key. The unit was completely empty. No furniture, no carpet, no curtains. Old hardwood floors, white paint peeling in patches. Daylight through the windows was enough to see everything clearly. No television. No electronics of any kind. But the static was still there. I stood in the middle of the living room and listened. It was coming from the bedroom, the smaller room toward the back, door slightly ajar. I pushed it open. The bedroom was empty. But on the wall where a headboard would normally go, there was a rectangular discoloration, the outline of something that had been mounted there for a very long time. Exactly the size of a mid-sized television. The static was slightly louder in here. Steady. Unchanging. I checked the outlets. Nothing plugged in. I knocked on the wall. Solid, normal, no exposed wiring. I wrote in my notes, 2B, unusual sound, source unidentified. Check electrical. Then I closed the door and kept working. 3 days later, I ran into a former resident outside. His name was Raymond, maybe 65, had lived in Unit 3B, directly above 2B, for 17 years. He was standing on the sidewalk looking up at the building when I came out. I asked if he needed to come in for anything. He shook his head, said he was just passing by. But he didn't leave. He stood there another minute, then asked me, "You hear anything from 2B?" I looked at him. He continued, calm as if talking about the weather, "Static. I heard it through my floor for 3 years. Louder at night." I asked the tenant about it, she said she didn't hear anything. I asked who the last tenant in 2B had been. Raymond frowned. Last one was Donna. Donna Ferris. Lived alone, around 40. Moved out in September when they announced the renovation. He paused. But before Donna there was a man named Walter. Walter lived there 12 years. He didn't move out. I asked what he meant. "I mean, he died there," Raymond said. 2019, they found him in the bedroom. His heart. He looked up at the second floor window. Walter watched a lot of television. Day and night. After he passed, the unit sat empty for a few months, but the sound stayed. That night I couldn't sleep. The next morning I went back to Unit 2B earlier than usual. I wanted to check more carefully, go section by section along the walls, find the source. I brought an EMF meter, the kind used to detect faulty wiring inside walls. The meter showed nothing unusual. But when I pressed it against the bedroom wall, right where the rectangular mark was, it started to fluctuate. Not strongly, just the needle trembling faintly, steadily, as though it was picking up a weak signal from inside the wall. I moved the meter left, right. The needle settled. Only in that one spot did it react. I stood there for a while. Then the static changed. Not much, just slightly. But for a few seconds, woven into that flat, even hiss, I heard something else. Not clear. Not words. But it had a rhythm. Rising, falling, pausing, rising again, like someone speaking from very far away through many layers of wall, with only the shape of speech remaining after all the meaning had been filtered out. I turned off the meter, walked out of the bedroom, closed the door. The static followed me into the living room. That afternoon I searched his name. It wasn't hard. There was a short piece in a local paper from 2019. Walter Coyne, 58, found in his apartment after a neighbor reported not seeing him for a week. No next of kin. No one came to collect his belongings. His possessions, including a large television mounted on the bedroom wall, were disposed of per building policy. The television was removed and taken away. But the wall mount, the bracket, was left behind. The previous landlord never took it down. Donna Ferris moved in, no television bracket still there. When Donna moved out, someone finally removed it, leaving behind the rectangular mark on the wall. The mark I had been standing in front of for 3 days. I have no rational explanation for what I heard in Unit 2B. I'm a technician. I don't lean toward things I can't verify. I checked the electrical system 3 times. Nothing wrong. I called the company and reported the sound. They sent someone who listened for a moment, shrugged, and said it was probably old pipes. But pipes don't make static. And pipes don't change their rhythm when someone stands in front of a rectangular mark on a wall. In my last week before the construction crew came in, I had to return to Unit 2B to finish the final report. I stood at the bedroom doorway. I didn't go in. I looked at the mark on the wall. The static was still there. Steady. Patient. As though it had no reason to stop. I wrote in my final report, Unit 2B, unidentified sound, source undetermined. Recommend rechecking electrical after renovation. Then I locked the door, handed back the keys, and never went back. But sometimes, on very quiet nights, I wonder whether the construction crew heard it too. Whether after they tore out the walls, replaced the floors, repainted everything, whether the sound was still there. Or whether it followed someone out, looking for another wall to settle into.